What's going on, guys? It's Picsoleated, and the world is going through a lot of changes right now. And when I say it's going through a lot of changes, I mean we as a people are going through a lot of changes, but so is the actual literal planet. And amongst our attempts to save the planet, we have companies taking initiatives to be less wasteful and reuse materials that would otherwise get thrown out and create more waste on our green and blue planet. And in order to take part of this revolution, we're tending to our garden today. What's that? We're not a home improvement gardening channel? You sure? Psych! We're obviously talking about the Nike Dunk Low SP Community Garden. This sneaker dropped on Thursday, September 10th, 2020. It retailed for $100 US and 135 Canadian dollars here in Canada. Now these are sold out everywhere and you're not expected to pay resale. I mean, it's not super high, but it is pretty high. But if you're still interested, I'll leave a link in the description where you can guaranteed get your size. So check that out if you're interested. It's important to note that these are Nike Dunk Lows, not Nike Dunk SB Lows. Now there are a few ways to distinguish the difference between the two. Nike has gone through several iterations of dunks in the past, all having a mix of a bunch of characteristics, but more recently they've been relatively consistent. Before we go any further with this, if you happen to enjoy the video at any point, please make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for more videos, and hit that noti bell to join Noti Gang, and so you don't miss out on future videos. I know a lot of you are confused between Dunk Lows and Dunk SB Lows, so I'll try to cover the differences that I know of between the two different types of dunks that are releasing during our time. And I say our time because a lot of the dunks in the past, some of them have shared characteristics and it's gotten very vague on what makes a Dunk Low and what makes a Dunk SB Low, but the current ones have very clear distinguishing factors. The first distinction we have to make is that anything with SB in the title is usually skateboarding related. Nike's skateboarding department deals with that. They're usually targeted towards skateboarders like Dunk SB Lows, Dunk SB Highs, Blazer SBs or SB Blazers, however you want to say it. These are all skateboard oriented, while regular dunks are more targeted towards the casual market. Of course, these days it doesn't really matter. They're both pretty much worn interchangeably for skateboarding and casual use, so you can't go wrong either way, but there are several differences that allow these shoes to lean into their respective markets. For one, the insoles of the Nike SB Dunks have more cushioning, and I have the Grateful Dead Dunks here to demonstrate that. If you remove the insole on an SB Dunk, you will see that it has two different forms of cushioning. It has the Nike Zoom Air Pod on the heel. This one has the Grateful Dead Nike logo. You won't see this on every other Nike SB Dunk, just on the Grateful Deads obviously. And it has this portion of pour-on foam cushioning on the forefoot. Whereas the regular Dunk Low just has a basic foam insole. I don't really want to remove it because it's glued down. The SB Dunk Low was not glued down. See this part here? This is foam. The insole of the regular Dunk just has this type of foam going all across it with none of this and none of this. Dunk SBs also typically have like a terry cloth toweling for the insole, which allows it to have somewhat of a sweat wicking characteristic. The Dunk Low's insole once again does not have that characteristic, and I could really tell wearing these because my feet got super hot in these, even hotter than wearing the Grateful Dead Dunks, which honestly my feet actually did not feel hot in these, which is surprising because of just how fuzzy they are. SB Dunks also come with a padded mesh tongue. In this case we have a tongue with a pocket, so that somewhat adds to the thickness. That's kind of thick even if it didn't have the pocket. This allows for a more firm grip on the foot so that when you're skateboarding and you're wearing them, you know, things aren't sliding around. The tongue is also held down by elastics inside. You can kind of see it right there. You see it right there. The regular Dunks have a thinner nylon tongue. Of course, in this case, it's not nylon. It's a completely different material, but that's just because of the concept of the shoe. It's still a thin tongue. It doesn't have the padding that you see on a Dunk SB. You also don't have the elastics holding the tongue in place, so you'll see a lot of moving side to side when you're wearing these. It's not the best feeling, but that's how most old school sneakers are. The more I cover this, the more I realize, why don't they just make all Dunks SB Dunks? Anyways, there are several other differences between the two models, but I don't want to make this video all about the difference between the two kinds of dunks. If you want a video about that, let me know down below. For now, I'll close out the differences by the box. Now, the regular Nike Dunks and Dunk SBs have gone through different generations of different kinds of boxes, but what you need to know for our current generation is that the regular Dunks come in the classic red Nike box that you see behind me right there, and the Dunk SBs come in this striped multicolor box. Obviously, there may be a few exceptions like limited releases and collaborations such as the Travis Dunks that might come in a special edition box, but those are the exceptions to the rule. I thought I'd drop a little info between the differences because honestly, I know a lot of people are usually confused about these kind of things. For someone like myself who just got his second W on a pair of Dunks this year, I barely get the chance to see the differences myself, so it's helpful for me and I'm hoping it's helpful for you guys when I do something like this. I should mention that these are labeled as a Nike Dunk SP SB, not a Nike Dunk SB. I'm not sure what that entails yet exactly. I believe it might be because it's a special colorway, not something you see regularly, but I could be wrong on that. Once I figure out exactly what it means, I'll let you know. But if any of you guys know, please leave it down below so I can figure it out myself. But hopefully you've learned a thing or two if you're new to dunks. Now, getting into the concept of this shoe, as I mentioned earlier, these dunks are named the Community Garden Dunks, and that's for a very important reason. Nike states that a community garden creates a vibrant place for surrounding residents to connect and create roots within the rugged confines of the urban jungle. And that's exactly what this shoe is meant to represent. While it does look more like a kitschy Christmas sweater or different colors of messed up insulation or something, the overall aesthetic of the shoe, with a mix of this muted green / teal color and faded red look that you'd see on bricks around the city that may encapsulate a garden, definitely gives a natural garden vibe. These were initially known as the Lemon Wash Dunks, but I guess they changed the name to Community Garden. I don't know how, all of a sudden I didn't see them being called Lemon Wash Dunks anymore, and instead being called the Community Gardens. Of course, the change of name is related to the theme, which is clearly the better option than just a standard colorway name. Now, Nike has released several sustainable sneaker collections already, such as the Space Hippie collection, the Vapor Max Flyknit made of reusable materials, as well as the Jordan 1 and Converse Chuck 70 Craters. All of these sneakers take a step towards sustainability, and I'm excited to see more companies, not just sneaker companies, doing this exact same thing. It forces them to get out of their comfort zone and challenges them to create something new, which isn't just better for the world, it's also better for us as consumers, getting something more unique and interesting and ethical. Moving on to materials, this sneaker is interesting for its materials just as much as it is for its concept. The upper is made entirely of canvas, which is a completely left turn for dunks, as most are made with suede or leather. The canvas is done in different colors, like this washed out red or orange that makes up the ankle collar. It's covered with a bunch of random patterns and reticles in a very mishmash randomized style. We see the same washed red on the top of the toe box. The rest of the toe box is covered with a washed out turquoise color, once again covered in a random number of patterns, including the reticles, and this time some radial lines on one corner. We see the same colored canvas form the back upper of the ankle as well as the tongue. The tongue has a tongue tab with Nike branding, and the most interesting canvas panels on the shoe are these side panels that are white with the same random assortment of patterns, but with the addition of the yellow polka dot patterns. Finally, we have the Nike swoosh in Lemon Wash, and it's made of a material I haven't seen before. I think it's just a textured leather, although I think it could be some kind of textured rubber instead. We have the same textured rubber on the heel with Nike branding stitched in red. We have flat laces in Lemon Wash. We have a standard Dunk midsole in the slightest of green tinted off-white. It's really unique. Finally, we have the outsole in a speckled green that looks like it's made of the same crater rubber that we've seen on the Space Hippie and other Nike eco-friendly reusable sneakers. When it comes to sizing, although Dunks and Dunk Lows share similarities with Jordan 1s, they don't fit the same. Dunks typically fit narrower, they just have a more dynamic sole shape that's narrower in the midsection, and even though I typically go half a size down in Jordan 1s, for Dunks I always recommend going true to size. I'm a true to size 10, and I got these in a size 10. When it comes to shoes that veer off and are made with materials that are completely different than their typical materials, like this pair for example, that is made entirely of canvas when most Dunks are made of leather, they usually tend to fit a bit bigger just because the material is usually thinner. That is true here. I have a little more space in the front of the toe box than I would like, but it's not enough to go half a size down in my opinion. The shoe would just be too narrow for me, so I would still recommend going your true to size in these. When it comes to comfort, the Nike Dunk Low is really at the bottom of the ladder here. It's a flat-footed shoe with even less cushioning than the Dunk SB Low. There's nothing enticing about these when it comes to comfort, but we're really wearing these for style and the unique design more than anything. The Nike Dunk Low SP Community Garden is a unique concept. It is made mostly with reused materials that would otherwise have ended up in a landfill somewhere, polluting and creating waste on our planet. So I salute Nike for taking the initiative and reducing their ecological footprint by being more eco-friendly and doing it in such a creative way. I personally think these dunks are dope, even more than most collabs, but I know not all of you feel the same way as me, so let me know what you think about these down below. These did sell out as soon as they came out, and I don't expect you to pay resale, but if you really want them, I've left a link in the description where you can go ahead and get your size guaranteed. So check that out if you're interested. I'll catch you in the next one. Picsoleated is gonna tend to his garden.